Hey coaches, welcome back. This is Coach Parker with CoachParker.org and the Coaching Youth Football Tips to Talk podcast. Thanks for joining me today. I'll be your host. Hey, today I've got a new series on youth football vocabulary. I've been meaning to put together some blog posts and everything for my football terminologies and others, and just for a general coaching book out in the future. So I thought it would be kind of cool to do it as a podcast, turn it into blog articles. And so we're going to get started today with episode 1. Before we jump in, remember to please subscribe to the channel if you get a chance. That helps me in the search results, doesn't cost you anything, and is a huge benefit to me, so I can bring more free content to the youth football coaching community. So thanks, and please subscribe. All right, so let's jump right into the podcast. So football vocabulary podcast episode 1. So I'm going to try to do, each time I do this, I'll do about 10 to 12 words and kind of go over what the definition is and what I think the definition is, and maybe kind of an example of it. So our first word today is audible. And an audible is basically when you call a different play from at the line of scrimmage from the play that you might have called at the huddle or the coach called from the sideline. So you might see in a game, you'll hear the quarterback yell, check, 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 and then some other verbiage like blue 38. He's probably doing an audible or a fake audible in that moment. So he's seen something in the defense and he's decided, hey, we're going to call a different play, or they might have called 2 plays in the huddle, and there's a main play and a second play, and he might have checked to the second play or the pass play. Sometimes that occurs. So that's an audible. So when a quarterback basically checks in or calls into another play at the line of scrimmage from the original play, that would be considered an audible call. So that was the first vocabulary word, audible. Our second, which is close to my heart, is the Beast offense. The Beast offense is a Yale Single Wing with 1 Beast running back and 3 sniffers either right or left just behind the offensive linemen. And so the Beast offense is basically a Yale Single Wing. I've been running it since '94. It's really great for short yardage, power, kind of a youth power offense, and very simple to learn. So that's what the Beast offense is a Yale Single Wing. Our third word today is cadence, and a lot of folks say, what is cadence? Well, cadence is kind of the snap count, like you would say ready, set, go. That would be your snap count, cadence. But it can also be the tone or rhythm and speed of the words within the snap count, usually kind of done to draw people off sides. So you could say, ready, set, go, or ready, set, go. So that's kind of a cadence. So it's the rhythm or the snap count of the play. So that is cadence. And the fourth word here is chalk talk. And this is usually when the football team gets together and has a meeting, or the coaches do, and plays were drawn up on a blackboard or a chalkboard. That's where it gets its chalk talk name. Or today you might see teams and coaches on whiteboards or their tablet PCs or in Zoom meetings drawing up plays. And that would be a chalk talk. And some of my videos that I've done on YouTube, you can see me drawing up plays and I'm talking about that. It's basically a chalk talk. So when you see coaches on the NFL today and they've got their little board up there drawing plays, they're giving you a chalk talk. That's what that is. This next term is something I never played in the secondary. I played linebacker and a bunch of other positions on defense, and I've always heard this term, and I kind of knew what it was, and never really paid that close attention to it, and I should have. But this is a good term, cloud. So you may hear the defensive secondary yell cloud, and there's another word we'll get to in a minute, in sky, and these are defensive secondary terms. And cloud means the quarterback on defense, who's usually the two outside defensive players that are in the secondary. They're going to cover the short zones in a passing zone defense, or the flats, and the deep safeties will cover deep. And so that's what cloud is. That's a defensive secondary call for the cornerbacks. So C for corner, back, C for cloud. You kind of get that there. The sixth word in our vocabulary list today is flanker. And that's usually an offensive running back that's not on the line of scrimmage, that will line up outside the offensive end. So he flanks the end, thus a flanker. And so you might see a running back who's in the backfield make a shift or a motion and then get outside of the end. It could be a tight end, it could be a nasty end, it could be a wide end, or it could be even a split end that's way out there, and it's just a guy that's off the line of scrimmage, which is usually a running back, who is called the flanker. Our seventh term is sky, that goes with clouds. So sky is for safety, and it's a defensive secondary call where the free safety, S for sky, S for safety, and not the cornerbacks, will cover the underneath flat passing zones in a zone coverage defense. And usually you have in modern defenses, you'll have two safeties and two cornerbacks, and so they basically will flip responsibilities in those going on there. Number 8 is skull session, and I've heard of this term and not really kind of thought about where it came from, and found that this week. And so a skull session is a chalk talk meeting where they're drawing X's and O's. O's for offense, X's for defense, and if you in your head combine the X and the O together, they sort of look like a skull. And so skull session and chalk talk are basically the same. It's a meeting, a team meeting or a coach's meeting where they're going over plays and looking at plays and drawing up plays on the board. So that's a skull session. A trap play, and it looks like I didn't get the vocabulary term in here on this PowerPoint, so I'll have to bring that up from my head. But a trap play is when it's usually a fullback can make a trap, or a guard or tackle will make a trap. They'll make a trap, and that's when the offensive line will let a defensive player that's on the line of scrimmage, a defensive lineman, rush into the backfield, and then one of those offensive players that is assigned to trap that person will basically block him from the side out and trap him out, and then the running back will run underneath that. And so that's usually a trap play. So you'll see a lot of trap plays in the AB gaps a lot. They'll do like a tailback trap, and the guard will pull, and then they'll trap one of the guards and then run underneath that. And you'll also see, you may hear it called a kick out block, especially on the D end. You may see the fullback or a guard trap the defensive end that's coming upfield, and he'll ear hole block him out or popcorn, that's another term, and then kick him up, and they'll run underneath that defensive end there in the CD gap. So that's a trap play that basically they let the offensive line will let one defender come in, and usually that lineman that usually blocks that guy will go after the linebacker, and then another offensive player will block that guy in the side out, and then the running back will run underneath. Number 10, and our final vocabulary word today, is a zone defense, and that usually refers to a passing defense that's running zone coverage in the secondary and with linebackers, and possibly the DNs or outside linebackers too. And each of those defenders will have an area or zone of the field to cover in a pass defense of scenario. And so that's a zone defense. It's an area defense for pass coverage. So that's the 10 football vocabulary words we have today in this episode 1 of our Youth Football Vocabulary podcast episodes. Some of the football vocabulary sources that I got this from was the Football Handbook by E.B. Story, Coaching Football by Flores and O'Connor, Coaching Football in Split T Formation by Tatum and Geis, and of course my two sites, coachparker.org, and my secondary site, youthfootballcoachingtips.com, which you should see a lot more here in the next year as I start to expand that site. So that's the end of today's episode for Youth Football Vocabulary. If you would like to support me and you're looking for some new playbooks or plays or ideas on defense or offense or drills, you can head over to coachparker.org and check out my Youth Football Playbook store. I have a ton of stuff out there. Some of my new books on the single wing, power I, wishbone, and I formation in the selected Youth Football Play series are very cool. And then also you've got my Power Wing Beast offense and my 6-2 multi-8 youth football defense. So if you want to support me, bring more free youth football content, you can certainly help me out by purchasing one of my playbooks, or you can also subscribe to the channel either on your podcast software app or on YouTube here. That would be a big help. Hit the subscribe button, notify, like, comment, do all that good stuff. All that helps with the popularity of the podcast. So I'd really appreciate that. And that's about it. That's about all I've got today. I'll try to do these once or twice a month and start adding to my football vocabulary. And I'll have kind of a page or pages of football vocabulary on my blog soon. Don't know which one I'll put that on, but that'll be out there soon, the next couple of weeks. Again, thanks for tuning in today. This is Coach Parker with coachparker.org. Remember to play for fun, and winning is funner. I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.